the Easter message from Bishop Hassan Kukah.
Okay.
It's just to say Bishop Hassan Kukah is known to every Nigerian. And this is not the first time he has spoken truth to power.
Yes.
So he is known for that. All right. And he came to he always, with every administration, Hassan Kukah always writes what he thinks, right? But the first administration that made it a point of duty to make him an enemy was the President Muhammadu Buhari-led APC administration.
Okay.
All right. And we wait for the response from this administration. But his Easter message for 2024, he raised some issues. Like I said, a lot of governors have sent their goodwill messages, but his really strikes. So he talked about Nigerian leaders and people in government. And he said something about, talking in the spirit of Easter. So Easter begins with the fast and then ends with the feast. But he said, here are leaders who have chosen the feast over the fast. So the fast is supposed to come first before the feast. But he said, all along they have feasted. And so what we are suffering right now is just a consequence of all of the poor choices we've made since 1960, right? That all of these poor choices is what we are reaping now. Yeah. And he also hopes, the story of Easter, where the Golgotha's pain then translates to joy, right? So he is also hoping that somewhere, somehow, in all of this Golgotha's pain Nigeria is going through, we are going to see joy there will be a resurrection. And so put in economic terms and put in the life of the country. So he's looking forward to a time when all of these pains we are going through, Nigerians will see light at the end of the tunnel, like they say. So he talked about that. He also accused Nigerian leaders of people being in a drunken state of mind all the time. Drunken stupor, like he
the
called
right
it.
word he used.
Yes, and mumbling, fumbling, in dizzy state, blurring speech, and all of that, and blood vision. Okay. Can't find their way. You're trying to find your way and can't find your way. So he talked about all of those. But some key things he mentioned, this is after complaining now. So this is also Bishop Kukah coming to give some suggestion about things that should be done. The one thing he touched about was nepotism. He talked about nepotism.
Yes.
He talked about corruption. He talked about the level of immorality that has eaten into the fabric of our nation. And he likened that to cancer eating up vital organs of the body. Yes. The evils of nepotism, the evils of corruption, the evils of immorality. And he thinks this is dangerous, and the government of the day must move away from that path to a path that's of inclusion, and that was what he said. Inclusion simply means getting people on board, regardless of where they come from, respecting our federal character the way the Constitution demands, and all of that thing. He also touched on insecurity in the country, while giving the military kudos, because he talked about that he believes, and he knows exactly what he's saying, that he believes the military, the Nigerian military, have the capacity to end all of these things in months. Right? But he complained about we being in a democracy, in a civilian democracy. But then we are running the country as though it is a captured territory with soldiers in the 36 states of the country and Abuja. And he complained about this having consequences on the efficiency of the military. He talked about this having a consequence on the professionalism in the military. And he talked about this having the problem of making the military lose focus and respect, and the way the Nigerians perceive the military, right? So Nigerians, rather than perceive the military as a force there to protect them, then perceiving the military as a force out there to intimidate and conquer them. And he gave an example, to buttress his point. He talked about the former Chief of Defense Staff, Lucky Rabo. Himself, Lucky Rabo, said that the Nigerian military is faced with a situation he called sea finish. And we are Nigerians, we know what sea finish means. And so something that is supposed to be great, something that is supposed to be scarce, something that is supposed to be rare, something that is supposed to be appreciated every time it's in. But because you see it all of the time, when it is necessary, it's just like a visitor overcoming his visit. It's just like a celebrity descending to play with, the fans, even coming to their homes to knock when they want to have a nap. In that kind of a state, then you are not respected.
Yes.
So that is what Nigerians mean by sea finish. So he said nothing else buttresses his point. But by the past chief of defense staff, so nobody would accuse him of not knowing what he's saying or having bad will for the military. It was coming from a place of love from Lucky Rabo. And so he said this is the consequence. But he asked, it's a rhetorical question. And I think in the coming days, we should have that debate in Nigeria. So he talked about, now we have done all of this. We have pushed in the military everywhere. But then we still see rising and blossoming insecurity. And he asks that at this point, one is now tempted to wonder if we are having rising insecurity as a consequence of the military being all over the place. Or we are having the military all over the place as a cause of this. And so is the military being everywhere now responsible for this level of insecurity? Or is the military everywhere because there is this level of insecurity, and so the military needs to be there? I think he raised a classic debate that he did not close. He did not close it, and I think that's intentional. But then, how you will know what he thinks was when he now went down and then said that, well, fighting insecurity has become an enterprise. It has become an enterprise, and that all we hear is people everybody pointing to the top, about excuses and all of that. He furthermore talked about allowing our farmers go back to farm. He put it this way, he said, give back our farmers their farms. And by giving back our farmers their farms, he is simply talking about fighting insecurities to a standstill so that these guys can go back to their farms. So I think he touched every aspect of our national life. And I look, honestly, I have nothing more to say because I think every Nigerian should go read that Easter message and, make up their minds. But this is just what I want to say. I find he said nothing that the laws of this country does not support. Because you can't fault anybody. You can fault someone. It doesn't matter what you're saying if he goes out of line. Bishop Kuka did not go out of line once again. Why? Because when you look at what he said, for instance, when you look at what he said about nepotism, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, Section 14, subsection 2B, commands, does not, when people, commands that the Nigerian state be organized in such a way, that the Nigerian government be composed in such a way, those were the words, composed in such a way that respects and reflects our true character. What is our true federal character? And what is this? It is our diversity. It is the fact that we are of different ethnic groups. It is the fact that we are of different tribes. It is the fact that we are of different regions. It is the fact that we are of different religious faiths. Has President Tinubu respected this? The answer is a capital N-O. So, not only does the Constitution vindicate him here, is he standing on the path of the Constitution, but this administration is guilty of what he has said. Look at another one, for instance, where he talked about the military being everywhere, 36 states and Abuja, and talking about the sea finish. Should the military be everywhere? Is the military playing its role? The answer is a capital no. Section 215, subsection 3 and 4 of the Nigerian Constitution puts all of the 95% of what the Nigerian military is doing in Nigerian states, on Nigerian soil, in Nigerian communities, is a responsibility of the Nigerian police. So when it comes to public safety, public order, internal security, all of these things constitutionally belong to the police. So yanking off the police from all of this and bringing in the military is overstretching the military. We don't even have the numbers, and we can see how that finish, quoting the words of the former Chief of Defense Staff, has cost us. When you also look at what he is talking about, our farmers going to farm and all of that.
Yeah.
Section 14, subsection 2, says the primary purpose of government is the protection of lives and property.
Yeah.
So, when you look at how we are running today, you just want to say Bishop Kuka has said it all, and we just hope in the coming days that people take you from all of these things. I think it is a timely message, and I align myself completely to everything the Reverend Bishop has said. By additional, what is Garba Shehu? These twin. at one point, he had to challenge them.
Yes.
He challenged them and said, well, because there was this statement by them, because they were called the presidency then. There was this statement that he should stick to what he knows best.
Yes.
And that is the liturgy.
Yes.
And leave politics. But then he said, well, if he challenged them to a public debate, that they should choose the time, choose the day, choose the venue, and let them come debate about Nigeria. So let's know, I might be here, but let the debate be about Nigeria. So let's see who knows this country better. And that is the problem I have with people like Bayo Onuga. People getting into office and then acting like the bird in Chinua Achebe's book that got overfed and challenged his chi to a fight. Look, it's about accountability. And that's one of the things Bishop Kuka talked about. He talked about accountability. That the government needs to communicate, they need to have a clear communication strategy to the people that inspires. That is quite key.
Yeah.
You have a communication that inspires people. People are going through a lot. You need to know how you communicate to the people. That is one. One other thing he talked about was accountability.
Yeah.
And he said that Nigerians need to know, you need to set the national goals. The government needs to set the national goals. The government needs to talk about and communicate how it wants these goals achieved. But then most importantly, it needs to define the who, the what, the when, and the why.
Yeah.
That way, Nigerians know who to hold accountable when anything goes wrong. Now, if you look at the Nigerian Constitution, one institution, and that happens to be the only institution that is mentioned in the Nigerian Constitution, the Nigerian media. Section 22 of the Nigerian Constitution.
Okay.
So gives the Nigerian media that role, that power, actually commands the Nigerian media to hold government accountable.
Yeah.
But what have we seen continuously? A deliberate and, it's deliberate and it's steady and it's strategic stifling of the media when the media tries to play this role. So he did that then, and I hope nobody in this administration takes us through that road. Just like you said when we talked about the Mr. Peter Obi thing. Look, government must begin to see those who speak up as friends.
Yes.
Because as patriotic citizens, because Chinua Achebe also taught us in his book, The Trouble with Nigeria, that who is a patriot? He asked that question, who is a patriot? That a patriot is not somebody who sings, who is highest in his adulation of his country. That is not a patriot. That the patriot is somebody who loves his country so much to demand nothing less than excellence from his country, and will always speak out when he or she does not see that excellence being achieved by his country. That is a patriot.
Yeah.
So if I'm patriotic, first of all, I must love. That is what it means. Love of country. Love of country is not to look idly by or lie when you see things going on.